captive audience. I'm Kevin Hoare. It is just a few minutes after 6 on the March 9th, 2026. And it is a day where we can say that the people of Oregon are at least temporarily safe from their own state legislature.
Yes.
And we are here and very welcome to have Representative E. Warner Reschke, who has just returned to his homestead from
Yes.
this said legislature. Welcome to the show.
Malin, Oregon. I'm back.
Well, wow. I mean, it is, I have heard many times, like just being repeatedly run over by a truck.
It was a whirlwind. This is the fifth time I've had a short session. So I started in 2017. So 2018 was the first short session, then 2020. And so I had no idea what it would be like. So that was it was all new. It was over before it began because I was used to the pace of a long session. That was my only experience. And then 2020 was the walkout, and so, or the leave the state out, or stop cap and trade out. And so that was an interesting session. In 22, we were still under COVID lockdowns, so we had to wear masks and be social distanced and do committees from our offices via Zoom or via Teams, and that was odd. So 24 was kind of the first time I'd been back to a short session that was normal, quote unquote, and it wasn't fun. We passed campaign finance reform, which I thought was a mistake, and also did unwound a very little bit of Measure 110 by making drugs illegal again, but then giving 50 off ramps if you're caught with drugs.
Yeah.
So, this session was somewhat like that, although I think I'd give us a B or a B plus as far as what Republicans were able to do. I saw a unicorn, which is we killed a bill on the floor. And that was fascinating. I've only seen that happen once before, because the speaker won't bring bills forward unless they know they're going to pass, because it's a waste of time. Speaker knows the bill's not going to pass. Why vote it out of committee? Why spend time on the floor debating it in order for it to die? And so that means that they had a count in their caucus that was passed, and then somebody or somebody's changed their mind at the last minute and it died. So it was good.
Well, it does sound like, when you're in the minority, that's it's a pretty heavy lift to kill things that the other side generally wants to bring to the floor and actually pass.
Yep.
But killing anything is pretty darn good.
It's hard. It takes all 23 of us. Again, there's 60 in the House and 23 Republicans out of 60 in the House and 12 out of 30 Republicans in the Senate. So we're significantly underwhelmed. We need 7 votes to basically stop something, and Democrats all vote in block, or they'll vote in block -1 or -2 or something like that. And so
there were a bunch of moderates.
Yeah, we thought so too. They're moderate when they're on the campaign trail, for absolutely certain. After they get through their primary, they are moderate as moderate can be. But in the Capitol, everybody comes to that building with a partner. Somebody helps bring you there, and so for their team, it is always it's public unions, it's trial lawyers, it's environmentalists, it's the LGBT or the abortion folks. So those are their backers. Oh, public unions, I think I said that, but those are their backers. And for us, it's usually the people in business, right? Industry of some sort. So that's kind of the way it lines up. So if your backer doesn't like what you're doing, then you're going to have an interesting time in the primary or the general, trying to find funds and trying to fend off somebody that one of those groups have put up to replace you.
Well, and I know there are some seats where there are some battles going on. I know up in Clatsop in Columbia, they're going to have a couple of seats that are going to that have gone Republican recently, and the Democrats are going to fight over. There's a state Senate seat that covers both of those House seats.
Yeah, yeah.
The former Betsy Johnson seat uh,
Right.
that has, but we I'm forgetting her name, but Suzanne,
Weber, Suzanne Weber. Yeah,
yeah,
Senator Weber. Yeah.
yeah, she for won that House District 20 seat for the first
Right.
time in decades, and then ran for Betsy Johnson's vacant state Senate seat, won that, but then she participated in the walkout, so now she can't run again, and now there's another open seat race, and that's going to attract a lot of attention. There's the Cyrus Javadi one, which we
Yep.
all
Yep.
story on that, and that one is being challenged, I think.
Yeah, we have two or three Republicans running in that House race, and be interesting to see how that turns out. We typically, as a caucus, we typically will in an open seat or a Democrat seat. If there's a primary, we typically stay out or aren't actively involved. If it's a House member who's being challenged by another Republican, then we defend the House member.
Yeah.
So caucus defends its own. That's just kind of the way it is.
Well,
And
it consists of House caucus members. They're going to,
right, because that's kind of one of the purpose of being in a caucus. So
yeah.
if it's an open seat, then people are free to pick, who they like, and some people sometimes they back them, sometimes they don't. But the caucus in general, the leadership doesn't get involved.
Well, so that's kind of skipping a little bit ahead to talk about the election. Let's cover a few more things from the special session.
Sure.
I got to be on the floor. Actually, Monique Despain was there too, because
I saw you. That's right. Yeah, I remember coming through the door and go, "There's Kevin."
right. I wandered in there, and Monique was there because she wanted to, because it was taking a federal tax break and essentially taking it back.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and you were speaking actually on it at one point.
I did. That was one of the ones I went a little. I wouldn't say angry, but stern, stern language.
Yeah.
Yes, Senate Bill 1507, basically the Trump tax cuts, or we could call it HR1 or the One Big Beautiful Bill. It basically gave Oregonians about $800 million in tax relief. And that's in new tax credits. It also kept the current rate where it was. If that bill had not passed, then rates would have gone up, and we'd be paying $2,000 to $3,000 to $5,000 more a piece just with the former rates. So, but $800 million was going to be infused into our economy through people being able to keep what they made. That put a budget hole or budget gap or budget deficit in the state, according to Democrats. So they went to go fill that by clawing back some of those provisions at the state level. And one of those was, so the big famous ones are tax on tips and tax on overtime was exempt. And they were smart enough not to grab those because those are very popular. And I'm sure people, if you filed your taxes for 25, you're starting to enjoy those things right now.
Yeah.
But if the other one was a tax on tax credit or tax deduction for interest on your auto loan. And so if you bought a car in the US and you have an auto loan on it, the interest on it, just like a home mortgage deduction, this is an auto loan deduction. And that was worth about 34 million, maybe it's $36 million a biennium. And what I found is about 85 to 90% of people finance their cars. So if you bought an American car and you're paying on the loan, that interest could have been deducted against your income, but you can federally, but on Oregon's taxes, you won't be able to do that.
Well, and then when I think about who's most likely to need or take advantage of that when they finance a car purchase, it is not millionaires and billionaires.
Right. I mentioned that billionaires don't typically buy cars with auto loans. They just buy cars.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I was saying that, how many billionaires do we have in Oregon? Do we have two, three, four? I'd like 20, 30, 40, or 200, 300, 400, but we seem to be passing policies that are discouraging them from coming.
Yeah.
Uh,
We're going to end up with more of them, and we probably aren't going to be able to rely on more working class people wanting to show up here
right.
if you want to work and buy cars that they need to finance. And
Right.
isn't it true that the ones who have the least, like the ones who have to pay the highest interest rates, are the least creditworthy people?
That's right.
And those are the people who need this tax break.
They would benefit the most. So
Yeah.
we took it away from them. Well, I'd say the legislature. I voted no, of course. But the other part was there was a small business stock option that was taken away, and that was quite a bit of money. And it's kind of wonky, but basically what it does is it incentivizes people to invest in small businesses in Oregon. So venture capitalists to buy stock in growing companies in Oregon and get a tax deduction for that. So we said, no, we don't want any investors investing in Oregon businesses. That would be bad because it puts a hole in our budget. So no more of that nonsense.
Yeah.
Bad Congress. And
We'll
then
just get less of it anyway.
Right. So that's it. So if you're an investor and you look at Oregon and go, well, I'm going to not get the deduction that I would if I went to Idaho or invested in a company in Nevada or something like that. That's too bad on us. And then the third part it was called bonus depreciation, which is a kind of wonky way of saying, so you buy capital equipment and you depreciate it over 5 years typically. This let you depreciate it over 1 year, the year you purchase it. So let's say you buy a new machine that's going to either expand your widgets or make your workforce more productive, or you're buying it for a reason to make more money.
Yeah.
Right. And so you spend the money in year one. And the nice thing would be to be able to write that off against your profits or against your income in year one fully. And then in year two, you'll pay, you won't get any deduction, but at least what it does is it incentivizes investment now on new equipment now. And
I've heard that's good for the economy.
That can't be good because here's the principle. Jobs follow capital investment. You have to build a factory before you have jobs. You have to buy equipment before you have jobs. All these things, it's capital investment precedes jobs. And so if we want good paying jobs in Oregon, if we want to bring manufacturing back to the state of Oregon, if we want to just have more modernization, and farmers and ranchers are just begging for this because this is a huge thing for them when they buy capital equipment to be able to write it off in the year. So maybe they show no profit in the year that they bought because they spent a ton of money buying the equipment. They're not going to have a whole lot left in prop. So it's good to be kind of flat in that year. And then the next year, as you're using the equipment, you're going to make more money and you'll have more taxes to pay, but you get the new equipment to do it. So
yeah, it's like a no-brainer. If you really want to spur investment growth, those two things that they took away, the bonus depreciation and the investment in small businesses by investors, you take those two things away and you're like, we don't really want growth here. We don't even want investment. And we definitely don't want people expanding their businesses and hiring anybody.
So what's funny is there was a jobs tax credit in this bill. And we said, well, where are the jobs going to come from? Right. So, and businesses don't hire people to get tax credits. You don't say, I'm going to hire somebody at $80,000 a year so I can get that $1,000 tax credit. That's going to really, that'll make me profitable. No, you hire because you have work or because you have equipment for people to work with and on.
Yeah.
And before that bill had even, the ink had dried on that bill, 1507, another bill came along to modify that tax credit for jobs, narrowing it because apparently it was too big and it might cause a hole in the budget. So again, we have a lot of folks in Salem who think their job is to protect the state from budget deficits or holes, and others of us that think that we're there to protect the people from the government. And
Yeah.
the simple answer to budget deficits is simple. Is everybody? You're always Democrats always focus on the revenue. We don't have enough revenue. It's a revenue shortfall. All those
Yeah.
things. There's another side of the equation called spending, right? And you can always lower your spending to match your revenue, just like every family in Oregon has to do. And then you don't have a budget deficit or a revenue shortfall. Actually, your revenue matches your spending. You're good to go.
Well, plus the government, it's a misnomer to call it revenue. The government doesn't earn that revenue.
No.
They take it.
They take it, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was in Friedrich. What's his name? Now I'm forgetting his name. It's not Friedrich Hayek. It's the law. It's Friedrich Bastiat, I think is his name. Yeah. The law, and maybe it's a Thomas Sowell illustration. But if I walk down the street and I see a poor man on the sidewalk with this cardboard sign saying "Feed me," and then I walk into a restaurant and I pull out a gun and I make everybody in the restaurant give me $20, and then I take all that money and I give him half of it and keep half of it for myself for the work I just did, what would you call me? Would you call me a benefactor? Would you call me generous? Would you call me charitable? I hope not. I hope you call me a thief, because that's what I am. But that's what government does. Government takes
or nonprofit, which means I can't even find out what you actually did with the money
there you go. I'd form my own nonprofit so you wouldn't know, right? Now all of a sudden I'm virtuous.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, it is. It's a taking, and the thing is, people just don't have confidence that the government's doing the right thing with the money. I just noticed that like Portland is saying they're going to charge a monthly fee to help fix its streets. Well, they already received money to do this.
I know.
So what the hell are they doing with the money that they're already receiving to fix the streets? And the answer is not fixing the streets.
Well,
and they show potholes. One of my favorite scenes is just a few miles from where I am right now. It's there's a sign that says, call the pothole alert line. There's a sign. And right in front of it are like 18 potholes.
That's right. Exactly.
It's like, did somebody design this?
That's it. Did they put the sign before the potholes?
Like, is somebody walking to see?
Maybe we should put a camera on the sign as those things get bigger and bigger. Yeah.
People like taking their middle finger and sticking it out the window, like, oh yeah, take that, because I mean, it's a teeth rattler.
No,
potholes. It ain't just like a onesie,
The dirty little secret is that government just continues to grow and grow and grow. Maybe that's not a dirty little secret, but here's something I thought of before I even joined the legislature. This is back in my younger days. I was walking in downtown Klamath Falls and I was following behind a postman.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, there's a postman. And then I thought, every year that guy gets a raise. Doesn't matter if he's any more efficient. Doesn't matter if he does his job better, or he's nicer to the customers, or he's more accurate with his deliveries. He just gets a raise because the calendar turns. Well, that means taxes have to go up to cover that raise. In business, you typically give people raises to keep them at your business because they are beneficial, they're efficient, they're a good team player, they've got all these qualities that make your business more profitable, right? In government, profit isn't a thing. They just expect more money to come in. And so over time, even at 3%, over time, that's pretty big growth. And if you're taxing at the same rate and things aren't growing as fast as you've been doing that, I mean, all of a sudden you run into a budget deficit. So government just continues to get more and more expensive because the calendar just changes from one year to the next. And that's why we have this problem. Is not because we're giving raises to people because they're more efficient or they're more accurate or they're doing better service in government. Is just and they may, but that's not the reason. The reason is because it's year 12. And so year 12 on the performance, on the wage table says you're up here, and then, oh, you're a 7 because you've been here this long and so forth in this job. So it's really government just continues to grow. I mean, if you look at what the size of government was just 12 years ago, so just 15 years ago, right? Go back to 2011, look at the size of Oregon's budget. And look at what people were paid then compared to what they're paid now. It's amazing. It's absolutely, it doesn't matter. Just pick a job and go look at it and you'll go, well, is it better? Is it more accurate? And you most likely you're going to say no and no, but we're paying more for it.
Well, and there's all these things that we know have got more expensive, many of which can be solved by allowing markets to do what they do, which
Yeah.
is incentivize people and getting government regulations out of the way so you can build more housing, or you can, food costs can go down, transportation, energy. Government, though, it's getting more expensive, a lot more expensive. And when
Well,
that grows relative to your income, there is no market to fix it. There's just what you
no,
do with the ballot box.
right. No, I think, you're saying that government should let business do more, and I agree. But what government does is they let nonprofits do more, right? So they say, we'll run this big bureaucracy that manages the money and the big wheels in this program. And then we'll have a grant program and we'll take bids from different nonprofits who will actually go out and do the work. But we never check what that work is or whether they're really doing the work or whether things are getting better, because that's not our mission. Our mission is to take this money and set up a grant program and distribute it. And so it looks like things are working. It looks like things are happening out there. We've got all these shelter beds. We've got all this stuff. We got this, that, the other thing. And it's not any better because there's no accountability.
Well, and when measured by inputs, government must be a great success. Measured by outputs, government's a disastrous failure.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly. That's exactly right.
who would say, our company is so successful, we're spending more money than we've ever spent. And we're not making a dime in profit, but we are spending more money than we ever spent, and that is a huge success, folks.
And we've got plans and designs to spend even more if we can get it.
Yeah, that's right. But buy my stock,
Right.
and buy into my stock, and I think people need to start selling the Democrat stock and buying the Republican one, because when they sell the Democrat stock, Democrats start to realize that what they're doing is worthless, and then they change their ways. They won't change their ways unless they lose elections.
True. They've been on a 20-year run. 2006, 20 years ago, is when the Oregon House flipped from Republican to Democrat. So the Senate flipped in 2004. The House flipped in 2006. This was George Bush and the war and the surge, if you remember that. And
Iraq,
Congress switched hands in 2006, and so did the Oregon House. And Democrats have never looked back. They just continue to go a little further and a little further, and then step on the gas and go a little further. And they keep getting reelected into power in either majorities or supermajorities. And why would they change? Why would they do anything different? It doesn't seem like any of the failures that are going on around us translate to votes at the ballot box.
That's right. They consolidate their gains. They never really give them up. And then they just add more programs that never really go away. When those programs fail, they add another program or a tax,
right,
to expand or build upon it, or give it more money and more time to continue to fail, because that's all they've done is fail. And by the way, there were some key bills. You were kind of talking about it at a high level, but I think, of course, we talked about the disconnect. There's a hotel tax that wildlife programs, and I thought I read the place that was supposed to be wildfire, but I guess it's wildlife.
Yeah, I think it's a little of both. It's I don't know what tourism did to get beat on this session. They were beat on last session. Fortunately, both of their bills died. This session, both of those bills passed. And so what one bill did is it put a 1.25% tax on top of the tax already. So it basically went from 1.5% to 2.75%. This is a state tax that's put on every hotel stay or vacation rental stay in Oregon. And the 1.5%, the industry itself had said that they wanted to, that's right. The industry itself had said that they wanted that tax, and that tax would be then used as a way to go to Travel Oregon, and it would promote the industry. Come visit Oregon. They go to trade shows, they go out, they do social media out of state to get people to come visit Oregon. So that's what that tax was for. This additional part of the tax has nothing to do with tourism. And so it's basically, we're just going to punish that industry because we see this as a vehicle to get the money we want for our other programs over here. And it's going to be, it costs Oregonians $11 million a year in when total for hotel stays and vacation rental stays. So, $11 million. I say, we can't afford to live here because it's expensive. We can't afford to die here because we have the worst estate tax in the nation. And now you're not going to be afford to visit here because we keep taxing an industry that is trying to recover from COVID. So not good. And the other bill that passed, so that was 4134. The other bill, 4148, was a bill that limited how much money, it took away money from promotion of tourism and gave it to cities and counties to spend on, quote, supporting tourism through fire, police, ambulance, roads, all that stuff, infrastructure, which I understand. But I said on the House floor, I said, if you had hired me, Kevin, to go into Oregon and shape policy to hurt tourism in Oregon, if I was like from Idaho, and they said, go into Oregon.
Look at this diabolical plan.
Here's the two things I would do: raise their taxes and limit the amount they could do to promote themselves. And that's exactly what we just did.
Yeah. I think part of the reason too is a lot of the areas that are dependent on tourism had other industries crushed by government policy. I'm thinking along the coast. I know
natural resources.
Very well. Yep. They were natural resource based. Tourism was kind of an additional industry that came along, and then they crushed the main industries.
Yep.
They are hurting fishing with many of the things they're doing too, and over-regulating it. So then you take away all, and you say what you're allowed to have now is tourism, and then you go do this to them.
I know.
And I think a lot of these places are now represented by Republicans. And I think that's the reason why they stuck it to them.
Well, a sad thing on both of those bills, Republicans voted for them. And it was hard to swallow that fact. And you just couldn't change those Republicans' minds. They had their reasons, and they were supporting their community, or they were getting part of the tax money. And again, I just say, is it right for me to go into a restaurant and hold people up for $20 in order to feed the homeless man outside? Am I being a moral, good citizen? No, I'm being a thief is what I am, right?
Yeah.
So it made me not furious, but frustrated. I'll say that.
Well, and they're all devil's bargains because they're being made with the devil, politically, and so those always end up.
And the things that they were funding, one of the things that was being funded was a wolf depredation fund or a wolf compensation fund. The money that's going to go there won't be enough to do what they want to do, but it's something, right? And second of all, we have plenty of money in the general fund. We had plenty of money. We just decided we would spend it elsewhere. And we talked about 1507 just a moment ago. That was the disconnect tax package, or I call it the backdoor taxes. And one of the things it also did is it spent another $50 million, I believe, on the earned income tax credit. So we didn't have to do that. Nobody was asking us to do that except for one leftist liberal group really wants that. They like that program. And so we spent $50 million, just kind of go out the door that way, not even looking at it. And then we say, oh, we don't have enough money. The only way we can help your little wolf program is if you vote to raise the tax. So it's just it was political blackmail.
What is the group that supports the earned income tax credit expansion?
It would be I think it's the Oregon Center for Public Policy, OPC.
Oh
Yeah, OPCC.
yeah,
They're always big advocates for that.
Yeah, the worst ideas to help make the state the worst
Right.
business climate.
That idea per se has been a Republican idea. And what it is a federal tax credit that you get if you work so much. You can get this tax credit and actually get more money back than what you earned. And so it's supposed that
low income, right?
What's that? Low income, right? Yeah. And it ramps up and it ramps down. It's not a cliff. So like if you make $51,000, you get nothing. If you make $50,000, you get a boatload. It goes up to a point and then it comes down nice and gradual. But the idea behind it is that if people have cash in their pocket, they're the best ones to decide what to do, how to meet their needs. And I agree with that, but I never agree with that when it is, I didn't earn it. Right. So if I earn it, right. So I agree with let's lower your taxes so you get to keep more of what you earn. But when you get past that point and now we're giving you additional money that you didn't earn, which is what this program's all about, then I have an issue with it. So a good concept to begin with, but again, I believe when you earn money, you spend it carefully. When you get money, you're very uncareful with it.
There was a gun bill, 4145, but it looks like it kind of got gutted and
yeah,
to the greatest extent.
Yeah, it was implementing Measure 114 with even worse ideas than Measure 114 before the court cases had a chance to play out. So there's a lawsuit that's an injunction on Measure 114 that was supposed to. There's like a March 16th deadline on that or something like that, which is beyond session. So all we did, the best way we could shape it was to push the implementation date out to 2028, I believe it was. And so even if the court case, they lose in court and Measure 114 goes into place, they have the government has till 2028 to actually implement the law. But if the court case wins, the injunction wins that says 114 is unconstitutional, then there won't be anything to implement. So basically it was a delay, push it out, way out that way. Rather than saying what the original bill said is we're going to implement 114 right now.
Yeah. And that is something we managed, I guess it sounds like.
Yeah. So it's, you get a lot of emails, vote no on 4145. And I'm saying, yeah, I'm voting no. And then all of a sudden I'm voting yes, because it gets amended and it's a different bill.
So, there was a so-called bipartisan deal to subsidize the Moda Center. Isn't that one of the things that took some general fund money?
Yes, it did. Well, I actually think it's going to be bonded. I don't know if it's general fund. It may be bonded money. I have to go back and look at that. But here's the sad, true, real fact about being in the super minority. You can't stop anything on your own.
Yeah.
And you can't get anything on your own. So Democrats really wanted Republicans to vote yes on that. They didn't want the Blazer look to just be a Democrat partisan bill, just Portland legislators spending all this money on revamping the Moda Center. So there were negotiations, and one of the things that Republicans got in return for being friendly to the Moda Center, not everybody, but some enough, was that we got the cap lifted off of fairground funding. So the lottery, when the lottery was set up, and then there was a bill that went through that said the fairgrounds can get X amount of dollars from the lottery. And it was 1% or this cap. And when it was put in place, the 1% was below the cap, so you get the cap. But as the lottery grew, 1% of the lottery came up here. And so now
Yeah.
you're getting the cap, you're not getting what the 1% was. And so what we did was we were able to negotiate pulling that cap off so we get the full 1%. So that means all the fairgrounds in Oregon will get more money from lottery dollars than they were before, and that's ongoing. So it's not just like a one-time infusion of dollars; it's an ongoing 1% of lottery funds.
Yeah.
So our argument was the Moda Center is an economic development tool for the Portland metro area. Our economic development area is our fairgrounds. That's a big economic driver in our rural communities. And
Yep.
so we will, if you'll help us pass that, because we need your votes, we can't pass it on our own. We can't do anything on our own. Remember that principle. So if
Yep.
you'll help us pass that, then we'll give you some votes over here to help pass that. And I voted yes because I thought it was the right thing to do. I think I thought it was in the wrong order. I thought we should have negotiated with the new Blazer owner and gotten them to commit first and then done this.
Yeah.
On the House floor, I gave a quick little speech. I said it was kind of like the young man who was getting ready for the prom, so excited for the prom. And so he went and got the limousine, hired the limousine, bought the flowers, got a tuxedo, made reservations at the restaurant, and then he went to go ask the girl if she'd go out with him, right?
Yeah.
Little bit backwards. You get the commitment from the girl first, then go spend all the money. We've kind of decided we're going to do it the way I just described it. We're going to do all the things, and then hopefully the girl will go to the prom with us.
Yeah, and actually, I found it ironic that there's a Willamette Week article about it, and there's
I'm at the bottom of that article, the very bottom.
at the top. There's a picture. Oh, you're at the bottom. Speaking about it, got it. Oh, I see. Yeah. Yep. You just mentioned the backwards and the senior prom and all that. Yep. Well, so there's a picture of Blazers fans sitting there, not exactly totally happy. And I find it ironic that the one Blazers jersey that you can actually see and has a name on it, the name of a player that's actually been traded and is no longer with the Blazers. And I know that happens. People buy these things and the players
exactly
get traded, but it just underscores your point about they're not exactly committed. And,
Right. I thought, well, the problem being in this super minority is I get a yes or no vote. I often don't get to shape the way bills come to the floor, right? I try to, but the majority does that. And so I can try and push and pull, but this didn't come through my committee. So I didn't have that power, but so do I vote no and have the Blazers potentially leave the area? And if we lost a major sports franchise, one's not coming back for a generation. It's gone. And so this is kind of the one shining light that we have that goes out that says Portland's fun, Portland's exciting. And I always, in 2019, I introduced a resolution. It's not a bill, but a resolution that recommended that the Portland Trailblazers change their name to the Oregon Trailblazers. Yeah. Because I thought it should be Oregon's team. And oh man, the hate mail I got, you wouldn't believe, that's the most attention I've ever gotten in my life. And about 95% of it was not good because people loved their Portland Trailblazers. They just wanted the Portland Trailblazers. And then about a year and a half later, they introduced a new jersey, and the new jersey said Oregon across the front. And I said, I won. I was ahead of the curve.
Someone admitted you're right.
But now the state is in the game funding the Moda Center. So I really think they should be named the Oregon Trailblazers. We're all in it together. We're all in it. And so there were a couple things like that. The fairgrounds was one that we got. Bay Area Hospital in Coos Bay has been struggling. We put up some money to help them secure their loans or refinance so that they can stay afloat and keep going forward, which is a huge win for that whole region. And again, those things don't happen with Republican only votes. We need Democrat votes. So there's a little give and take. You could call it horse trading if you want. It really isn't like that. It's more like we have a need, you have a need. Let's see if we can work something out.
Well, and that is actually how it's supposed to work when
Yeah.
they don't think they have to compromise on anything like that they did with the transportation bill and just
Right.
ram it down people's throats.
The
I think,
slap in the face, I call it.
yeah, we'll talk about that here in just a second. I wanted to mention there was an abortion bill that passed, and it's to take a state that apparently doesn't have very much money and funnel it to Planned Parenthood, which is
Yeah.
essentially a giant multi-billion-dollar nonprofit business.
Right. So 4127 created the mechanism. So Planned Parenthood, when HR 1 passed back in July 4th of last year, the one big beautiful bill, besides all the tax credits we just talked about earlier, it also had provisions that if you provided abortion services, you couldn't receive Medicaid dollars. So that basically shut Planned Parenthood out of receiving Medicaid dollars from the
Yeah.
state. So 4127 basically created a new mechanism in which Planned Parenthood could get money from the state from a fee. It's called a fee for service scheme or plan. And so that was the mechanism that they said, we'll continue to funnel money your way. You just tell us what you're doing and we'll pay you how many, each service, fee for service. And then second of all is besides that is this House Bill 5204, I think it is. Yeah, it's 5204. That's the budget bill. And so that's the budget bill that put $9.6 million into a bucket for Planned Parenthood and another, I think, $16 million later on. So basically around $25 million set aside for Planned Parenthood. This is after we funded them some $7 million back in December. So your tax dollars at work funding abortions, elective abortions, and transgender care. And the thing about Planned Parenthood that most people don't realize is that chemical abortions, as awful as those are, have taken away tremendous business from Planned Parenthood. So their big growth industry, quote unquote, is is hormone therapy and transgender care therapy.
Oh,
This is they're the number one prescriber of hormones in the nation, Planned Parenthood is. So this is where they're making their money. And instead of billing somebody when they come in as a young pregnant woman, right, that happens maybe once in their life, maybe twice, they don't want the child or whatever, which is sad, awful. This is every month. Right, every month you need more testosterone, you need more estrogen, you need more puberty blockers, you need all this stuff every month. It's a huge cash cow, and that's where they're transitioning, pun intended, to is away from the abortion industry, although still provide that because it gives them great political cover. But they're big into the transgender care portion of this, and of course, this bill gives them the ability to continue doing that.
there was a bill that is described as legalizing backroom deals by politicians. Bill 4177, and isn't this the one that kind of makes it possible for people to hold meetings, quorums of different bodies, secret or hidden from the.
Oh, yes. This is the public meetings, the serial communication. And I think I voted, I voted yes on that. And in 2023, or maybe it was 25, I can't remember. Maybe it was 24. They all blur together. When you get old, Kevin, you'll learn someday. You young whippersnapper, it's hard to keep these years together or apart. But we passed a bill on serial communications for public meetings. And basically what it means is if you have a committee of 9 people, 5 are a quorum. That's the quorum. So you can't have those 5 out of those 9 people, 5 can never be together discussing business that the committee would discuss in private, at a party, anything like that. But then what way people would get around it is they'd say, okay, I'm in this group of 5, right? And we can't, we'll just get 4 of us together and we'll discuss something. And then we'll have one of us go around to the other 5 on the committee and talk to them about what we talked about. And now we're around the law said you can't do that anymore. Well, that pretty much just shut down all communication. And so this bill kind of opens it up a little bit. I still think the original law was kind of goofy. I didn't vote for it. This makes it a little bit better. Newspapers hated it because they think things are going to go on behind closed doors. Newsflash, things go on behind closed doors right now, right?
Yep.
And it's not that they're violating quorum laws. It's just that the way the power structure works, it's deals are made all the time behind closed doors, and you're just not going to stop that with some sort of law unless you just say you can never talk to and you can never meet with another elected official at this that you vote with, which would be pretty hard then to have committees and have public hearings.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense. Well, I always look at these things because I know that I've been involved with different entities and groups such as the Republican Party, where
Yeah.
they have problems with meetings where all the decisions are made, and then 150 people pay $75 to go show up at a at a meeting, and it's like
Right.
everything's just like, here, vote on this, vote on this, vote on
Right.
this, and they don't. It's all been decided. They
It's all
didn't.
been decided. Yep. Yep. Yeah. It's a lot of that is that way in the Capitol, which is kind of frustrating. That's like I say, sometimes you get to the floor and there's a bill and you say, well, this is not the way I would have done it. I would have done it this way, or I wouldn't be doing this or whatever. You don't get that. You just get a yes or a no. And you get to decide if it's, you like most of it and you're going to vote yes, or you're going to like most of it. But there's that one part that you won't vote no on. And, you'll use that to vote no. And I always say, when you vote yes, you own the entire bill. You own the entire policy, warts and all,
Yeah.
because you helped get it across the finish line. You can't say, well, I liked most of it, but that part I really didn't like. And that, I know that's trouble and we'll have to fix that later. It's like, nope, you own it all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. No, that's true. Speaking of owning it all, so now they've they've voted to move the referendum on the gas tax and other transportation fees from November to May. And I guess
Right.
it's stuck in court temporarily, but probably not for long, right?
Yeah, there's a federal lawsuit and a state lawsuit going on against that. So what happened was, end of 2025, we didn't pass a transportation tax because Democrats couldn't agree among themselves how to do that or what to do. So it fell apart. Republicans were applying pressure, saying this is a bad idea. We should fund ODOT a different way rather than reaching into your pocket more. Imagine just 6 cents a gallon more on gasoline as it's gone up so high. It's just like pain on top of pain.
Yeah.
So that failed. So then the governor called a special session, and we held that for a month because the vote they needed to get it across the finish line was in the hospital from complications. So he was finally wheeled onto the floor at the end of September, and they voted and they passed it on party lines. Okay, so that's passed. Then the citizens go out and get a referendum and sign in record number. 250,000 people sign in, I think, 38 days. Unheard of. You only needed 78,000 signatures. We got 250,000. And we turned that in. And on the petition itself, in the upper right-hand corner, it says November, I think, 3rd, whatever the November election day is, November 3rd, 2026. This petition will be for, they turned it in the Secretary of State. Now the Democrats have a problem because their leader, Tina Kotek, is up for re-election. This is her tax, and it will be on the ballot when she's faced off against a Republican who's probably going to just not be kind to her about pushing this tax, advocating for this tax, twisting arms for this tax, and then it's clear that the people don't want it. So if you vote no on the tax, you vote no on Tina Kotek. So the thing they did was they said, okay, we're going to move that from November to May. And they say, well, because we need to know what the people think. Well, I'll tell you what the people thought. 94% of the people during the public testimony on the tax said no. 99% during moving the date in the public hearing this last session said no. We know what the people are going to do. They're going to vote no on this tax, but she cannot have that on the same ballot when she's faced off against a Republican.
Yeah, which could influence turnout and activate
Oh, yeah.
a bunch of people who are generally tuned out from politics. So
right. What I say is that Democrats are going to put Donald Trump on the ballot in November, and he's not on the ballot, but they're going to put him on the ballot. And so our job is to put this tax on the ballot in November, even though it's not going to be in November.
Right. And in fact, this lawsuit, I believe, is saying if they have the power to move the date from November to May, then why couldn't they move it from, November 2026 to May 2027 or,
Right.
or
Moving
10
out in the
years
future. Yeah. So it's initially the governor said she was going to repeal it or rescind it, and she didn't have that power. And then once they wanted just to have the legislature do that, and when they found a 1935 Attorney General opinion that said, nope, once the people have put a petition on the ballot, the legislature can't modify that. Well, I think moving the date's modifying it, but we'll see in court what the court thinks.
Yeah. We know that the courts have had a certain bent to them, but there is the plain written word of the Constitution that should override legislative activity once the people have taken charge under that provision. So I guess we're going to see how that plays out. It has to play out quickly, right? They don't have much time.
There are federal deadlines, there's county clerk deadlines, there's Secretary of State deadlines in order to get voter pamphlets out, in order to get ballots printed for the May election. And the longer this goes on, the less likely that's going to make those deadlines.
So stay tuned. Oregon work week hits lowest level since 2010 as hours shrink, and there's been some layoffs. It's driven the unemployment rate up, I guess, to 5.2%, which is well above the rest of the country by at least a percentage point. So this is not a state that's going in the right direction if they wanted to have more money to pay for more crap in the future.
No, I think our money problems have just begun, in the sense that I think that revenue to the state, or tax dollars to the state, is going to be flat or declining. And the Democrat answer is going to be, well, tax them more, increase the rates, add another tax. Right now, you are taxed, I am taxed. There's 64 different ways that the state of Oregon taxes you. That doesn't include any of the fees, the myriad of fees, just 64 unique taxes. And there's going to come before the legislature, I can tell you, it's going to be a sales tax. And they'll say, oh, we're going to lower your income tax, and we'll put the sales tax in, and then we'll have the three-legged stool, and we'll be solid and whatever.
Yeah.
We can guarantee you that will not be revenue neutral. It will be put in place so they can make more money. They can take more money from you, not less. So they take it through a sales tax or an income tax or property, it really doesn't matter. They're going to take more.
They are going to take more, and then they're going to raise the old taxes later.
Yes.
Because, golly, we ran out of money again.
We ran out of money again. Government growth, right? Exactly. That mail worker is doing his job again for the 22nd year. He's got a bum knee and all that stuff, but he gets paid 4 times as much as he did when he started out 22 years ago.
Well, we've got a lot to fix in the state. At least temporarily. They can't do more bad things to us. Temporarily.
Oregonians are safe. I say the legislature is sine died. We've closed the session. We're done. So you're safe for now.
But we do have an election in May, and people should pay attention to that. What are your thoughts on May? And then, I know
I'm excited about our governor's race. I think we've got some great candidates, and I'm not going to weigh in too heavily here. I'm backing my friend Christine Drazen. I also have a good friend, Ed Deal, in that race, and then I know Chris Dudley as well. So I've got 3 of the probably 4 top candidates I know pretty well and think would be magnitude better than what we have today. So I'm hoping that turnout will be high and provide momentum into November. And I think the key is that if you're backing a particular candidate and you're all in on that candidate, you think they're the bee's knees, and they don't win, the worst thing to do is then take your ball and go home.
Yeah.
We have to come together. And I think in the 22 election, we had, 19 different candidates. And it was almost nearly impossible to consolidate 19 different factions of the Oregon GOP to come together behind one candidate. I'm hoping this time we have fewer and they're more substantial, that we can come together and we'll get endorsements from all the other candidates for the eventual winner, and we can then go take the governor's mansion for the first time in 40 years.
40 years, yeah. Well, this is a big change if we can make it. And I know that we've got some additional important races, some congressional races, a very razor thin margin at the national level. There's a lot going on, and paying attention to what's happening in these elections is really the next step. That's
Yep.
You've already done what you could in the state legislature. Now we got to change the numbers.
Well, it's a target-rich environment because nothing's very good. I mean, our education is not great. Our taxes are too high. We have homelessness at record rates, and I smile, but I'm really sad because this is the state I grew up in. This is where I went to grade school and middle school and high school and college. Got married here, had my jobs here, lived here my whole life, and I've just seen it just spiral downwards. And I just have to think at some point somebody's going to punch through, and we're going to say common sense needs to re-enter the building. I have a friend who always says, "Well, common sense and Elvis have left the Capitol. They've left the building, right? Both of them." I'm hoping at least common sense will come back. If Elvis came back, that'd be cool too. But common sense, I'll live with that.
That's right. We want common sense to stop being nostalgia in the state of Oregon.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for sharing us the insights and wisdom and the post-game anatomical report of the state legislative session, and as always, your wisdom and insights into what's happening with our politics and the direction the state can and should go, and we really appreciate it. Your website, WernerforOregon.com.
Oh, right? Yes, yeah, WernerforOregon.com. Yeah, E's, no A's, WERNER. So.
Yep.
WernerforOregon.com, or you can go to the OregonLegislature.gov and then find me there. That's where I post my state newsletters and press releases. My campaign is the other one. And then I'm on Twitter, or X, I guess it is, at eWernerReschke.
eWernerReschke at x.com. Thanks again, and everybody follow him. He's got great stuff. I read his stuff all the time, and I get smarter every day as a result.
Both of us do. That's great.
Well, thanks, Representative Reschke, and we look forward to having you on the next opportunity. And I enjoy the break between the state legislative sessions.
I do too. All right. Thanks, Kevin.
Take care. And thanks, everyone, for watching. Please share this show with everyone you can, and we will see you on the next